Welcome, everybody. This is the Dr. Nick's Amazing Man Stuff YouTube channel. This is the live stream titled Doctor's Orders. My name is Dan C. Bearded. I am coming to you live from a remote location. I'm in the closed off breakfast area of the hotel lobby, but it's during the middle of the day, so not a lot of intoxicated people like last night and eventful happenings. Maybe I'll get into that. But
we got to hear that.
Oh man, I will. Yeah, I'll tell you what I can in a bit here. But today we got a pretty special stream, and I would first like to introduce the gentleman to my side here from his normal location. This is Nick, the doctor himself, the giver of Christmas in July. Nick, how you doing?
Ho ho ho! How are you doing? Oh man, it's good. We had an awesome over the weekend release at midnight. Like everyone, we told you last week, if you heard something on your roof in the middle of the night, it wasn't a cat burglar or Santa Claus. It was us dropping some Christmas goodness in the middle of the year here at Half Christmas as promised. And by popular demand and by the orders we've seen so far, I can tell you guys are very happy. Everything that Yule Tree and Peppermint Bark are back. We are almost all the way through a full batch already this week, which is fantastic. So thank you guys for that support. But nope, we are doing great. Pumped to be here to talk about Christmas in July.
Absolutely.
And whatever else comes up.
Yep, that's what we do, you guys. So if you have questions for Nick, for Jill, for the company, today is a great time to be able to get those questions out there. And we do want to make sure we acknowledge there have been two other new products recently, Key Lime Pie, which Ruben says is insane in a good way. And then also the growth stimulator. And I know our buddy G Squared is going to have some feedback about the stim oil in the stream today about how he's just going to work it in as a normal beard oil. He's liked it so much. And so we'll talk all about that today, you guys. But I did not even ask this yet. If you guys could, please consider hitting that thumbs up on the stream right now and consider sharing it. Bring in some other people to experience this Christmas joy in the middle of summer. And again, we get off on whatever questions you guys have and tangents and all these topics, man. It's a lot of fun. And we hope that you guys are going to just relax and hang out and enjoy the show. So, Nick, let's jump into the seasonal scents that launched this weekend, and then we will kind of go from there. I'll show you here. Boom. So we have Yule Tree on the left. Also, by the way, these seasonal custom labels. And then the Peppermint Bark on the right. And these beautiful oil bottles. Same carrier blend, just different scent profiles. And both of these, as always, you guys, are all essential oils, 100% natural essential oils here. So let's jump in and let's talk about the Peppermint Bark first. And I'll show you guys, I did link the beard oil page in the chat. So if you guys want to check that one out, it's pretty simple. Brings it up here. You can see the two new ones at the top. So Peppermint Bark. Nick, what's the deal with this scent? What do we got going on?
Oh man, so Peppermint Bark literally speaks to the name. On the back of the label here, you got peppermint, chocolate, and vanilla. The vanilla is definitely a round off sort of a note that ties together, I think, the peppermint and the chocolate. Think of it like a little bridge between the two, right? You don't have an abrupt peppermint and abrupt chocolatey scent. Something else to note, since this is real essential oils here and no fragrance oils or flavorings or things like that used in it, which oddly enough, people do use flavoring oils in their beard oil sometimes, which is an interesting move. I don't know. Interesting. There's not much of a big difference between fragrance oil and taste oils sometimes. But the chocolate is not like that candy stick chocolate scent.
Right.
You know that fake hard chocolate candy smell that you get out of chocolatey stuff sometimes? Or like chocolate flavored vape juices, things. There's none of that. It's a whole different world. Like think about like the difference between smelling something that's vanilla scented versus smelling, vanilla extract in the bottle, how they're very different. This is a very similar comparison as opposed to the chocolate scent you'd get out of like a chocolate hard candy, very much the scent that you'd get out of like a cocoa packed chocolate cookie. You really do get that full cocoa kind of like an effect. And the peppermint, again, is natural peppermint essential oil. So it really is a delicate balance of the two. I think they're balanced just right, where you get the chocolate that comes out. But when you smell mint by itself and you smell chocolate by itself, and then you smell something that's chocolate mint, like a grasshopper cookie or like one of those chocolate cookies that's got the green chips in it, you get that kind of a scent out of it. That's more of what I get. Like you really get that kind of that blended mint chocolate scent. They're not abrupt at all. They blend really well. I love it. And one of my favorite things to do with it, I don't know why this is my favorite to do with it. Sir absolutely loves our French bulldog. He loves this beard oil. Like for some reason, the chocolate and the peppermint, I know chocolate's not good for dogs and that's what you'd say, but it's actually a different part of the chocolate that's bad for them, not the actual cacao nibs so much, especially not in the oil scent, in the oil sense, but he loves it and he smells great, obviously, when we put it on him. And you know what else I've noticed, and I don't really know why, and I don't know if it's the peppermint or if it's the cocoa essential oil, but if I have a hot spot under my beard, like if I have a dry patch, like if I go out in the sun too much and I get like a dry spot, or maybe I get a little bit of a sunburn and I have something going on that's causing some irritation, this beard oil calms it down like crazy. And I don't know what it is about it that's so soothing. But it does it. And I don't exactly know why, but I keep one. I've had it ever since Christmas in my medicine cabinet. And just 2 weeks ago, I was sitting at a Mexican restaurant and I was out on the back porch and I was like facing the sun and my hat was shading my face. So I thought I was okay. But the next day I realized I got a sunburn under my beard. Oh. And so I was using beard butter, at night and in the morning, just because the aloe butter that's in there, it's really good for your skin. It's great for sunburns. So I was using that. And then I needed something lighter because I was going to a meeting, couldn't have a real heavy, greasy beard or anything. So I used some peppermint bark. And the next day, like you could still see some redness, but it didn't itch and it didn't burn anymore. Like it really did calm it down. So there's something in here that's really soothing.
Yeah, they're essential oils we know have these like magical, mysterious powers at times. Like, for example, and these aren't anything that Dr. Nix claims or anything, but the IPA oil, there's just something about the hops or something in there that just hits my beard different. Like it really does. The way it feels, the way it styles, and the only thing different is the scent. And so there's different essential oils can do different things, and there's probably something to that out of those essential oils. And as Jill said, there's also a secret ingredient in peppermint bark that rounds off that scent profile.
There is a secret ingredient, and I won't have keys to the house if I even say them here on stream when I get home. So there's, you know what? You said that just triggered an idea for a really cool future stream. What if it'd be really cool to get someone that's actually in our supply chain somewhere, but I'd like to find someone that's like an aromatherapist that focuses on essential oil, like holistic healing. Maybe we get someone like that to come join me in the studio and we get a list of all the essential oils across our different scents. And she just kind of hits and talks about the different benefits. And then we could almost line up like that benefit list that we create on stream, and we could kind of transpose it. And we could keep that on the site with each scent profile so people know the aromatherapy benefits of each blend also.
For sure. Yeah, that would be great. That'd be absolutely cool. Great.
I got to find someone that will be willing to do it.
Love it. And Garrett says, I was thinking you'd be streaming next to Nick since you guys are close. So we are still a couple of hours away. We're a few hours away right now. However, all day Saturday, we're going to be together. So the families will be together. We'll get some pictures. We'll get some videos, maybe like an Instagram live for a bit, something like that. So stay tuned. But we will be together this weekend.
Yep. Yeah. And I wanted to figure out how to come up there, if not for the stream, at least for the beard meetup. It just did not work this week to get a 4-hour round trip in the middle of the week. It was like, we got bottling going on downstairs and Jill's slammed. And it's like, it just was like, okay, can I do it? And it's like, well, okay, 4-hour round trip. We got a couple hours of hanging out. It's like, okay, there goes Tuesday. So
yeah, yep.
So here we are a couple hours away from each other, but we're still just virtual.
Totally understand. And Corbin. Yeah, great question. So SPF is something that I learned a lot about in the last couple of years. And essentially, all SPF is the ability to block the sun's rays, the UV rays off of a surface. That's all it is. Like, I think most people think SPF is an ingredient or something that is added. It's just a product's ability to reflect UV rays. And every single oil actually has some rating of SPF. Most of them are in the 5 to 10 range, which isn't crazy big, but you definitely have some. Some can get up to 40 to 50, like carrot seed oil, for example. So oils do have that ability to have SPF. So do butters with a little bit more of an ability. So I would not add anything to your oils, but know that they do something. Um, yeah, there have been ideas tossed around with Nick and I and brainstorming on different things, especially Nick having that kind of red beard, having a little bit more sensitive skin. Who knows what the future will hold there?
So, yeah. And so to that point, one of the things that we have played with that I've actually looked into was being able to use zinc oxide.
Yeah.
Because zinc oxide itself is a great natural sunscreen additive. You see
Yep.
a lot of the zinc-based sunscreens out there now instead of using the other stuff that they use as a primary ingredient. But you can get up to like an SPF 50 pretty safely with zinc. And the only challenge would be emulsifying it into an oil isn't something that it likes doing.
Right.
So it
That's
would
why,
probably
yeah.
be something that resembled more like our beard sanitizer, you know, being able to work it into a fine mist, something like that. That's an option. But then the challenge is getting it through your beard and onto your skin, because a
Yeah.
lot of that when you spray it is going to stop in the hair. But that is, Corbin, absolutely something we've thought about, because I have a huge
Yep.
problem with that. If I go out in the damn sun, I have two problems. One, I burn really easy because I'm Irish. And the next problem is, for whatever reason, I have not found one that doesn't do this. If I get sunscreen on my face and it goes down into my beard, I am guaranteed to have red along my hairline the next day, and red under my beard, and my chin especially would just be pissed. So it's kind of a double-edged sword for me. It's like, what do I deal with? The sunburn or the rash of sunscreen? You know, it's like, it's like the lesser of two evils is usually the route that I go, but I haven't figured out a good solution for it yet. So when I do, you guys can be sure, just like the beard oil with essential oils in it instead of fragrance oils, when I figure out something that works for me, we will figure out how to make it and get it to you guys too.
Yep, that would be something that would be really, really cool to develop. So for sure. But yeah,
Awesome.
I agreed that there's something in different essential oils that can hit those different things. So we actually had the idea of an essential oil stream, but bringing in an expert, someone that knows like really in depthly about this stuff, that could be really cool.
Yeah, I love it. I love that idea. I think that's great.
Awesome. So yeah, guys, I would say that the peppermint bark, the biggest thing would be that it is on that natural side. It's not, once again, it's not a candle. It's not something that's sweet. It's not something that's overly like chocolatey. It's just natural. It's calming. For me, it's a very calming scent.
Yep, it is. It is very calming. And cocoa essential oil is known to be a calming ingredient.
Ah, okay. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, it makes total sense. And Garrett, you're the exact same as me, dude. I go out in the sun, I get red, and then I'm white again. Like I get a little tan, like, but not much. Like I think it cuts out. Whenever I get a tan, I feel like it just makes me less on the red purple side of white and more on like the olive-y side, maybe of very pale. But I just don't tan much.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
I was the howliest of howlies in Hawaii.
Oh, I bet.
Like I remember getting told in middle school, like I was so white that I was reflective.
Yeah, you definitely stood out.
I did. Yeah, especially bright red hair with a 9-inch nails t-shirt and ripped up jeans on Kauai. Yeah, I definitely at the beach, right? Yeah, I definitely stood out.
Exactly. All right. And guys, we will have tons of time for all the questions, all these topics. I got a couple of your questions starred about donuts and lobster rolls and all of that. Excited to talk about it. But the other one, my personal favorite from this bunch, a top 3 scent from Dr. Nick's for me, and that would be Yule Tree. Yule Tree. So Nick, same kind of rundown. What's the deal here with Yule Tree?
So Yule Tree is a very secretive blend. So we're cheeky on the back of the label, and we say it smells like balsam pine, ornaments, and lights. And the goal with saying that is we were trying to get people to really believe and to hope and then hopefully be pleasantly surprised that it's going to smell like a Christmas tree. And when you go to a Christmas tree lot, you got a bunch of different, you got Douglas firs, you got the balsams, right? You got all the different pine trees sitting around. And that combo of all of them is what you smell in the Christmas tree lot. You know, you smell the sap, you smell the needles, you smell the dirt and the lot. Like there's something magic about the Christmas tree lot smell.
Yep.
And I think that's what you get with this. Like if you walked up to a tree and you gave it a big hug in a Christmas tree lot, you know, like you do when you're picking out a tree and you find the right one, then that's the smell that you're going to get out of this. And it has one surprise ingredient that I can kind of allude to. You know, it's got 5 different kinds of pine in this. So between it's a blend of 5 different pines. Basically every kind of Christmas tree you could possibly imagine is in this bottle. And then there is just a hint, and I'll let Jill throw it out there if she wants to, of something else that's a little unique that gives it just a little bit of a extra touch, and she can share that if she feels like it.
There you go.
It is beyond the pine smell that you get out of it. I really do feel like it's not just like your typical pine or spruce kind of a scent that you'd get in an evergreen essential oil. You actually get like that sappy smell. You know what I mean? Like you get like the pine, but you also get the sap. There you go. She threw it out there. Juniper berries. So it's 5 different kinds of pines and juniper berries. And I think that's what gives it that little hint of like I don't want to say a spicy note, but almost like a spiced version of a spruce, you know, with that little bit of juniper in there.
Yeah, it's truly wonderful. It is like you're walking into that Christmas tree lot, or like you're walking into a forest on top of a mountain. It's fresh. It is nice. It's a little bit punchy, a little bit zingy in such a great way. I think it's one of the stronger profiles that Dr. Nix has. It lasts very long. I absolutely love it. I see Jill said I got 2 waiting in the mailbox. Thank you. Shout out to my mother-in-law bringing in our mail each day because we always get packages. So it'll be waiting in the air conditioning for me, luckily. So that's amazing.
Beautiful.
Amazing. And kind of on topic here, and Jill added in a comment. So he said, maybe a dumb question. Not at all. It's actually a super loaded, very complex question. And he said, so the understanding it will vary. How many drops of essential oil go in an oil? Is it always at the end of the ingredients list? So I know it's small. So the potency of anything that goes into a beard oil product needs to be by order of potency. So if it is the most potent ingredient, it's going to be first. It can be tied, it can be equal, but other than that, it's generally in order. You're usually going to find an essential oil blend at the bottom of the list. Now, how many drops? It unbelievably varies. So it really comes down to each individual essential oil has a potency safety level that's noted by IFRA. It's an international fragrance regulation. And essentially, some of them are up to 100%. You could sell a bottle of Texas cedar wood and label it as a beard oil, and it would be 100% legal. You can put 100% of that on your face. Now, there's other ones like peppermint essential oil that's much lower, much lower. But generally speaking,
0.5.
Yeah. Literally less than 1%. Exactly. And one thing is it can never be measured by drops. Drops you can do for DIY at home. You can do it for just having fun. But when you're doing legally, it has to be by weight and by percentage of that total product. So it really varies from product to product. It varies from you get the legal amount, and then some companies like to go below it. Some companies break the law and go above it. But it really just comes down to those individual oils that go within it. But again, generally speaking, it's going to be, like Jill said, around 2%. Some can be higher than that, but generally around 2 to 3% is pretty common.
Yeah, that's exactly dead on. And, you know, one of the big challenges when we converted and scaled this from when I first started it is I actually went through and had to create like this big conversion spreadsheet to figure out, you know, my small batch percentages that I was doing by volume and figure out how to do them by weight. Because once you scale and you're using bigger containers, and you fill something up to a line, right? what is the line? Is it where the surface of the liquid's touching the line? Is the surface of the liquid encompassing the line? Is the liquid above the line, but right on the top level of it? And so those little variations, depending on what you're using, can make a huge impact. And, and then you multiply that problem and it just extrapolates and becomes a mess. So you got to get it locked in where you do everything by weight really early on. And that way, when you're building your ratios and percentages, it's really easy to convert it to total batch weight based on oil. And then how many, grams or milligrams you need of things inside of something for a weight. So we have super accurate lab scales for our essential oil weighing that we put into things, because we like to be dead on within, 100th of a gram.
Yeah. Yep. And it's important. It's really, really important. And if you're a company, you need to be able to prove that. If let's say the FDA comes and knocking and says, hey, someone had a reaction, we just want to make sure you're following all the proper protocols. You got to be able to prove that with documentation, with batch numbers and all this stuff. And so Joe, to kind of come back to that, and I see he said, thanks guys, super nerding out over here. I love that. But no, not a dumb question. I would say it's actually the number one most difficult aspect of running a beard product company is being legal with your scents, with your fragrances. Very, very complex, but at the same time, very important. If you mess up and let's say you just willy-nilly put in, I'm going to go 2% peppermint essential oil, you can burn someone's face. You can actually give them a medical burn. It's happened before. I can send people articles. So that stuff, like, people like to kind of dismiss that and be like, whatever, No, like, people get burned, especially when you step out into the sun, especially when you have different types of reactions. So, and mixtures as well. So it is definitely a loaded, complex situation for sure.
Yeah, it is. And it's a tough problem to solve too.
Yeah. Yep.
Especially
Absolutely.
if it goes sideways. Getting back to where you want to be can be a challenge.
Yep. Yeah, no, I remember, Leo, I was going to say the meniscus as well. The meniscus curve. Yeah.
Yep. The meniscus curve and water surface tension.
Yep. That's exactly when you were talking, I did this, Leo, that's exactly what I was talking about. I remember.
That's funny. I did the exact opposite with surface tension. I did this. I did the same thing. Yeah. I was like,
Yep. I remember Intro to Physical Science. that was the class.
I remember it.
Oh my gosh. Can I weigh my coffee with those scales? For sure.
Oh, you totally can.
Yeah.
And actually, to that point, G Squared, I'm big into espresso. And if you look at my espresso machine, right up above it is a little gram scale. And no, I'm not like slinging coffee beans as the side hustle, bro. But when you're calibrating an espresso machine, you need to have your grinds need to be in weight, and your output needs to be in volume. And it matters how much time it takes that water to move through that weight, that you adjust your pressure and your heat and your pack. And so I'm all about weighing your coffee to get just the right espresso, or just the right, whatever you're looking for, because volume is not reliable. Because the grind of your coffee, for example, if you coarse grind, the same volume in a measuring spoon is going to be much less coffee than a really fine grind coffee inside that same spoon, because there's more surface area and things can compact more. Just like the difference when you're baking. You look at really big, high-end recipes for cookies or cake. They're all weighed in grams for your flour and everything else, because they don't know, is someone going to scoop their flour with a heavy hand and pack it as they're scooping? Or are you going to spoon it into it and then cut off the top? The only reliable way to get a recipe duplicated, even in baking, is to measure all your ingredients by weight, because there's too much variance and variables that go into measuring things by volume.
Yep. And even more applicable is the difference of measuring, like I just said, for oil. You measure the product by weight when you're measuring the different scents and the different ingredients, but you sell it in fluid ounces. Why? Right. Because the fluid ounces fills a space. However, if you're selling solid or semi-solid products like a butter or a balm, you have to sell those by weight. It is not by volume, because of that exact reason. Let's say we whip the butter, that introduces air. It takes up more space, but you're not getting more product. And so you got to sell it butter by weight and not volume, which is the opposite of oil for all those exact same reasons we were just talking about in those other fields.
Yep, that's it. Over in Europe too, it looks like they have a new standard coming on where even with liquids now, they're going to have to be volume and weight.
Yeah, and that makes sense because there are different weights to liquids, right? We know I suggest that you guys always shake up your oils before using them because some oils have different weights and they settle to the bottom while others stay at the top. So I think that makes sense as well.
I think it does too. Along with their new standard of making Apple get rid of their proprietary charging ports. I agree
and I'm
with standards.
So happy with that. Give me a C charge or USB-C all day.
Come on. It's finally, Steve Jobs is rolling over in his grave going, no,
yeah,
we need proprietary market cornering. But
yeah, right. And then how about the move when they went to the Lightning? Now you got to get all new chargers, and then the move to no port for headphones. Yeah, it's a whole game. It's a game.
The new rule they're thinking about coming out with too is they're gonna make manufacturers of cell phones go back to making batteries easily removable and replaceable if they want to sell phones in Europe.
Yeah, and does that have to do with airplanes?
No, what it has to do with is the lawsuits against cell phone manufacturers saying that they intentionally make their batteries only have so many cycles because then you have to buy a whole new damn phone.
Yeah.
So they're like, listen, people should be able to use a 5-year-old piece of hardware by replacing the expendable component, which is the battery. And so they're trying to make that a law now too.
For sure. All right. And guys, as you see on the screen there, Jill made a good note. These are essential oils. They are from nature. They're not made in a lab. And if you're sensitive to something in nature, you've got a good chance that you're going to be sensitive to it in the essential oil form as well. So if you're like, hey, I know that I'm allergic to this fir tree. If it's an essential oil, there's a good shot that you're allergic to it on your skin as well. It is nature. So just something to keep in mind.
And there's always the chance. Yeah, there's always that chance. Like we've had people come back and say, I had a bad reaction to your beard oil. And we say, oh no, what happened? And they're like, well, I'm allergic to lavender. And I didn't think it would bug me because I like the smell, but it did. And it's like, well, if you're allergic to lavender, this stuff is pressed out of lavender flowers. So you'll probably be allergic. Whereas you look at me, it's kind of a weird situation. I am hyper allergic to most evergreens. Like when I put up our Christmas tree, I got to wear long sleeves and gloves because if I reach into the damn tree with my arm and pull it out, I got red bumps all over my skin from touching it. And for some reason, I have zero problem with the Yule Tree and I have zero problem with number 7. So it's like one of those weird things where like, if you like the scent and you're allergic, there's always the chance you can give it a try. Like I can't give you a refund if it doesn't work, because you don't have a tolerance to it unless it's your first order. All bets are off. But it doesn't bug me for whatever reason. But if you're allergic to it, chances are you'll be allergic to the oil.
Yep. And Michael, both of these I know Jill answered you, but for anybody else listening, Yule Tree and Peppermint Bark are available right now on the website. They're linked in the chat, and they came out midnight on Sunday. So they've been available for a couple of days now, and people are starting to get their orders. They're starting to get excited about things. So it's go. It's available right now.
And we had some real early ones too. We had someone, I think, that was like waiting at midnight to be the first one to place an order, and that was Brandon Kozlowski.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, but he was number 1 on the order list here. I figured I'd call out whoever it was.
So cool. And Whiskers and Whiskey, I will see you tonight at the meetup. If anybody's in this area, we're meeting up in Portland, Maine at 5 p.m. today. Just meeting at a park, having some conversations and just meeting people. So if you want any details, reach out to me, you guys. We'll do many, many more in the future for sure. Many, many more. So, but yes, they are available.
That is one of my favorite, the park that you're going to, the pond that's right there. That's one of our favorite spots in Portland to go electric skateboarding. It's got a great path that goes around that whole loop. So you can actually go all the way out to the ocean and then around that whole pond and then back into downtown on the skateboard.
Okay, cool. So it's awesome. A good spot for the meetup, you think?
Yeah, it's a great spot. It's pretty, it's tucked out of the way. The spot you're going to be has easy adjacency to parking. It's good.
That's my number one thing that I hate about cities is parking. Like we're here at a hotel. Our hotel doesn't even own the parking ramp. So we got to pay $30 a day. It's not valet. I don't ever do valet, but at $30, it's not valet. I got to go. And the ramp is not built for a 2,500 truck. And
Nope.
nothing in the city is built for a 2500 truck, including the roads, the parking spots. So I wanted to find something that was out of the way, not super like dangerous for little kids to go right into the water. And so that's why I picked that park.
And you guys are staying in Salem, right?
We will be on Friday. Yes.
Oh, okay. That's where you're staying on Friday. That's right. Okay, cool.
Yeah, we're in Portland right now.
You guys are in Portland, staying in Portland.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like Portland streets were made for horse carriages. So,
yeah.
I mean, aside from the new ones, right? You go downtown, anywhere that's, the old cobblestones and stuff. It's like you got to have both lanes clear to turn right on one of those streets in your truck.
And hey, look at that. You're 1% of the people to get his last name right.
Hey, and he's here. What's up?
Yeah, I just call him B. I just go by B. I'm not even touching that last name.
I've had lots of Polish friends over the years, and so I've gotten used to the Luskis and anything with the multiple E's, Z's, and SKIs at the end. I tend to not mess them up too bad.
Yeah, you're fantastic at it. And hey, guys, we have 45 people in here right now. That's absolutely phenomenal for us. Just want to say thank you for carving out part of your Tuesday afternoon or morning if you're on the West Coast, or who knows where you're at in the world. If you guys could, leave a little thumbs up. This stream really helps out this channel. It's growing. We're getting closer and closer to that 1,000 subscriber mark on here, and that's a big goal, and we just want to say thank you, guys. But again, just make sure you consider hitting that thumbs up. And here's a great question by Justin. He says, sorry for being late. No worries, man. What about sun exposure? Would beard oil, butter, balm crisp your beard? So great question. So sun exposure to your beard is bittersweet. There's good, right? It's good to get outside, to have fresh air. It's good to get vitamin D directly from the sun to your beard and the skin. It's actually needed. But UV rays are bad for your beard. But your beard, we believe biologically, was designed to help protect from things like UV rays on your sensitive neck and other vital parts of your body. And so it's good and bad. My best answer to you to talk about how you worry about that is just like anything else, in moderation. I don't think you have to, unless you have really sensitive skin like Nick and who has to really consider taking some serious steps. Most people just be smart about it. Take the right steps that you would anyway, but don't worry too much about your beard, as long as you're going with moderation.
So to that point, the one thing I have done in the sun recently that has not made my skin mad, and I don't know if it's helped or not, and that's why I haven't really talked about it much. But for people like you that are worried about that, you got light skin and a dark beard, so I can see where your concern is coming from, right? Neutrogena makes like that ultra fine mist. They make like a dry mist sunscreen.
I've seen that.
Yeah. And it uses Helioplex in it. And it's got this, it's an ultra fine mist, really fine particles, like really, really small. And what I started doing is I don't get it on my skin because that's where I think it bugs me, but I've just been misting my beard. And here's my theory. I'm like, okay, maybe if there's enough hair in the way with that stuff on it, maybe that will help protect my skin. And at the end of the day, also, maybe it's helping to protect from breaking down so much oil naturally in my beard by absorbing and reflecting those UV rays. So again, jury's still out. I don't know if it's in my head or if this is just some Dr. Nick crazy experiment that's actually completely disproven somewhere else in the world, which it might be. But I'll tell you what, that's kind of where I've been trying to do that. And I think it might help. I don't know. I want to try it.
All right. And Mark says, speaking of allergies, is it common for people with nut allergies to have reactions to carrier oils that come from nuts? I know a lot do. Yes, definitely. Nut allergies are very common, but there's often kind of misconceptions with it. So for example, someone that has a nut allergy, they would I get people reaching out all the time saying, hey, can I get a blend without sweet almond oil? Well, even backed up by the FDA, they do not consider sweet almond oil to be a part of a nut oil. So that is one where it's like, oh, okay, I thought that was. No, it's not. But if there is an actual nut, such as hazelnut oil, and you are allergic to hazelnut or tree nuts, oftentimes that can cause a reaction. So yes and no.
Yeah. And there's some nuts that aren't really nuts.
Exactly. And they're even called nuts. Well, and it's, man, we make it so difficult. It's like jojoba oil. Well, jojoba is actually a wax. It's a liquid wax. And we get into things where you call them nuts and they're not even a nut. So,
right.
I mean, Nick's a nut, but that's a whole different story.
Yeah, totally different type of nut.
So we did get
Most
lobster.
people aren't allergic to it, by the way. But some
are. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's worse with prolonged use. So
prolonged exposure could increase adverse reactions.
Yeah, exposure. That was the better word for it. So we did try lobster rolls. We got gluten-free lobster rolls. This was from the park that has a fort, and it's like this giant, there's a lighthouse and like lookout scenic place. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that park. Fort Williams or something like that. Yeah, something that.
Yeah, I've seen it on the map.
Yeah. And Leo's right. Buckwheat is a seed, gluten-free and not a wheat, right? I know I get buckwheat pancakes, and they're actually really good. I believe the buckwheat pancakes are like a dark color, like a black color, and they're delicious. They're really, really good.
Yeah, they are really good.
Got gluten-free waffle or pancakes today. They were okay. But the lobster rolls, first off, as expected, but very expensive. They were like $40 for a fat boy. And I'm not used to kind of paying those kind of prices for things. However, me and Sam split one, and it was a generous portion of lobster meat. And I'm talking like hearty, chunky, full claws of lobster meat.
Yeah.
And I went Connecticut style, which is, do you know what Connecticut style is?
Is that's not the warm buttered one versus the cold mayonnaise, is it?
Just warm butter. Yep. Just straight up warm butter. And so I am not a mayonnaise guy. I am not the other versions, the mayonnaise and chives, and then they had a bunch of different crazy ones. Just straight up warm butter, and amazing. One of the best things I've ever consumed in my life. I want 7 more. I just can't. I can't budget myself for that. We'll talk about budgeting next week, guys. But yes. But it was delicious.
Guys to a spot near our house when you're down here. The kids will love it. My buddy Paul runs a lobster pound right down the road from us. We'll let the kids get photos holding lobsters and stuff. It'll be fun. But in the at certain times a year, for example, his sign out front, it hasn't happened the past 2 years because prices went up. But like when we first moved down here a few years ago, it was $3.99 a pound for chicken lobsters, which are the small, chicken lobsters or anything that's under 2 pounds, which in my opinion are the better lobsters anyway, because they're called soft shells. So you don't need a cracker to crack the claws. You literally just break the claw open.
Oh man.
And the meat just slides out. But dude, it's like $3.50, $4 a pound. It's cheaper than chicken certain times a year down here.
Wow. And it tastes like normal lobster?
Oh, it's better. It's sweeter. It's like literally has a little more sweet to it, and it's more tender. It's like the tail meat doesn't have any of the toughness to it.
Yeah.
It's like super duper tender tail meat, and the claw meat is like the best thing in the entire world. Like,
oh man. But yeah, Jill, it was CT style, and it was delicious. Sam wants the other way next time. I can't do it. I'm so far against mayonnaise and chives. I can't do it. And
most of the ones are usually just onions and a little bit of celery, and then light mayo. Yeah.
Nope. No, thank you. No, thank you.
Not for you.
No. But the gluten-free bun was toasted. It was delicious. It was amazing. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely amazing here. And
nice work.
If you guys could in the chat, I know we have Leo who has tried it, who has a gray beard, and some other people. If you have a gray beard, drop your comment in the chat. Nick and I don't personally have gray beards right now. How this oil works for you. I know the answer is it works fantastic. I've never heard someone say that this oil didn't work for them, and that's from the bottom of my heart. I've had people that are like,
one white beard person wrote us back and said that it made his beard a little crispy. And that was the only time I've ever heard it. Like, we have a lot of white beards in here, and we have a lot of white bearded customers and gray bearded customers, silver, salt and pepper, everything in between. One of my wood shop guys down the road has a bunch of white, and then when it's not white, it's pitch black. He has like ultimate salt and pepper beard. Salt and pepper's here. And so he's got that full thing going on. He loves it. It works great for him. And so, yeah, Dan B, I know for a fact it works great for him, and he's all the way white. And but no, I've never had any. In the one guy it didn't work for, it was just he didn't like the way it made his beard feel, but it didn't do anything from a coloration standpoint. It just, for some reason, biologically was not for him.
Yeah. Yep. And that's awesome. That's awesome. So yeah, tons of great feedback from all colors of beards there. But yes, lobster, delicious, just as good as crab legs. And I wish I could have it every day of my life. It was that good. So good. A little messy, but it was good. Yeah, real nice. And then, so Sam's ultimate hunt, lobster rolls, and then gluten-free, like fried real donuts. Most places, you guys, if they advertise gluten-free donuts, number one, they usually don't have them. Number two, they sell them and then they only make a few and they sell out first thing in the morning. Number three, the most common is their like cake that's shaped like a donut. It's not actually a donut and it's just garbage. We didn't order cake. We can make better gluten-free cake. Well, in Charlotte, North Carolina, when I was getting my tattoo done, we found a place called Sugar Donuts, and they had gluten-free ones. Unbelievable. Now, everyone had been telling us about these holy donuts in Portland and that they have the best gluten-free donuts. We got them. They are good. They are not anything compared to the Charlotte donuts, though, which were way better. These ones were good. They are fried. They are real donuts. That checks off the list. We got 7 of them because that's how many they had available. And so we cleared them out. And they will get consumed, but they were not as good as Charlotte. They were good, though. They were good. But the second best we've ever had. And we've tried, anywhere we go, we tried to get gluten-free donuts. So that was good. It was just, we just came off of like last weekend, the Charlotte gluten-free one. So it was kind of like an unfair.
Jaded. Yeah, you had a real high bar set.
Yeah.
For our wedding, we did like a brunch kind of pool party the day after on the property where we got married. And like my mom is keto and my stepdad and some friends of ours that were there are gluten-free or keto and don't do carbs. So we got some keto-friendly bagels and some other stuff from this bakery that Jill found. And they were, according to everyone that tried, I tried one. They're pretty damn good.
Okay. All right. Tim, I'm going to be there Saturday. How far is Cane's Donuts from you, Nick? Do you know?
Cane's Donuts. I don't know. Let's find out.
All right. Because that could definitely be one on the way out. Buckwheat donuts, what a concept. I'd try it, Leo. I'd try that in a heartbeat. If you could fry
interestingly
them.
enough, Cane's Donuts are going to be pretty close to where you guys are up in Salem.
Ooh, okay.
It actually looks like Cane's Donuts, if you do directions from Salem, you are only, I'm guessing, like 20 minutes. Let's see. Damn, good guess. With traffic, 26 minutes.
That's not bad at all.
And it's actually on your way down here, too, from Salem.
No way. That's really cool. That's really cool. And let me see. Hey, Ruben, if you don't mind, could you send Sam a message on Instagram or Jill saying Cane's Donuts 20 minutes outside of I don't have access to my phone, outside of Salem, just so I don't forget? I think that would be awesome. So
yeah, definitely stop. That'd be cool.
Yeah, please do. That would be great. All right, and Nicholas asked you, and he's asking me as well. Have you seen any lobster boats? Yes, we went down by the water and we saw lots and lots of lobster boats with the traps and everything. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, lots of lobster boats down in my area too. They dock them all right down the road from my house. There's a lot of guys like on the main road leading up to our house that all they have on their whole side yard is just mountains of lobster traps. And you'll see guys in the morning coming in to drop off the traps after they pull them out of the water.
So cool. And Tim, I'm going to hold you to that. I'm going to hold you to that. My wife is the biggest, it's her favorite thing in the world, other than me, of course, is it's me, gluten-free donuts, our children, depending on the day, and then lobster after that. So yes. And well, so no, I'm the only, I mean, my kids are tall for their age, but I'm the only tall one in the family. Sam's normal. And I'm normal tall. I'm not freakish tall. So you don't got to worry about me being too crazy. And Jill, Nick has told me about those gluten-free donuts. That would be amazing. That sounds so good.
She's already planning to make some later this week. So she'll probably make them like Friday. So they're like 12 hours out once you get them on Saturday, but those things made with rice flour and everything, they're fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And Justin, I am not working out during the trip. My tattoo that I have is still pretty. I'm 9 days recovering right now, or 8 days healing, and it's still pretty wicked. This was pretty much blacked out 3/4 of my forearm, and I did 12 hours of blackout in less than 24-hour period. So it was some real serious tattooing. So it's still healing. Working out would not be a good idea for it right now.
Nope, not ideal.
Yeah, I got one spot that so this round I went in, and then because it was 12 hours in less than 24-hour period. So once the skin was broke, we used this numbing spray, and apparently that can impact the healing process, and it definitely did in a couple of places. So I'm doing the everything the right way, and just kind of on the waiting process. It's just going to take a little bit more time.
Yeah, they usually hit it with some kind of,
it
topical.
it wasn't Bactane. It was more than that. So Bactane doesn't work on me. For whatever reason, my skin just dismisses Bactane. It's like, you're irrelevant to me. This one was called, the company was called, it's a terrible name, but every tattoo artist in the area swore by it. It's called Carolina Chemical, I think is what it's called. Carolina Chemical. And it's a spray that is like numbing, but again, it's only once the skin. It's just like, I think they call it blue gel. If you guys are familiar with blue gel, it's the same thing.
I think that's just ethyl chloride, right? What is the
I don't remember the active ingredient in it.
Yeah, it's some of our guy down here once in a while, like I'll get the look on me and he's like, do you want the spray? He's like, well, he usually says to razz me, he's like, you want the sissy spray? And I was like, yeah, I want the sissy spray. Hit me.
This was my first time. This is like my 6th tattoo session. This is my first time using it. It did help the pain process tremendously until your body goes into like a shock. So it got weird by the end. I couldn't feel the needle, literally couldn't feel the needle. But if he even touched my skin, and it's all numbed, my whole arm just lit up like a red sensor, like bah, bah, bah. It went crazy.
Because your body ends up getting past the numbing agent and it feels it, and so like you just get this all over pain instead. That's why a lot of people swear against it, because they say it's like this temporary help, but then it makes the rest of the process worse.
And I wanted to try it. I had heard that from a lot of people, and I'm kind of with them. I mean, I was able to do more than I probably would have before, and I was on a time constraint. So I see both sides to it, but my recovery is partly, again, because it's just a huge area that's literally blacked out, and other than some stars. And so it was most people talk about tattoos. Most people don't have a blackout section like this. And so it's kind of like, a little bit different, right? My Sam's are done and recovered because they're mainly lines, right? Easy, done. This one is, pretty good one too. So Nicholas, no, the pressure of water isn't going to do anything negative to it. You actually want to rinse out with hot water and really thoroughly rinse, especially the first and second day of the tattoo. So that's not going to change the healing process. This is just kind of part the stuff that was used, and then part on this. And Jill, that's so funny. I was looking for a fragrance oil of green soap, and it doesn't exist other than for candles, but it is I didn't know this. Do you know the main scent of green soap, Nick?
No.
Lavender.
Is it really?
Yeah, lavender. And so,
interesting.
Yep. Yeah, it
smells nothing like lavender. It's like it gets like, it must be a certain amount of lavender mixed with the natural soap smell that gets
exactly
the combo that gives you the scent.
Yeah. So Justin, what do I mean by blackout is a scent. It's hard to show here. This is just one section, but it's just my skin is straight up like you take shading, and it's other than like the exception of like some stars that are in the background, it's just my whole skin is shaded black now from tattoo on these portions, where most people, like Nick has some pretty serious tattoo on his bicep, but there's lighter shading. There's different characters. Mine's just essentially
like this one is like really spaced out, like lots of different shapes and stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas like this one underneath is just, all the way covered into the armpit, was just all the way black all through here. So it's like, This stuff sucks a lot more than like, detailed line work that you get.
Exactly.
Like this.
And then like,
what else really sucked was
yeah.
big color sections, because they got to depth the color so much. So they got to go over it once and then go over it again. What I liked about black is they can shade like this, and they can shade in areas all together.
Yeah.
What drives me nuts about the color layering is they're like, okay, they'll do this space, and then they come back over it in the same session, and then back over it again like an hour later in the same session. Like, I think that pisses me off worse than anything getting tattooed, when they go over a raw area that they've already gone over like more than twice. I start kind of getting, all right, do that part next time.
So the part that's healing like the not best right now is a part where he did on the first day, and then just 12 hours later he had to go back over that part, and
Ooh.
that part is hurting pretty good. And again, next time I'm going to spread it out more and give it a little bit more time.
Near him, he probably wouldn't have done that.
100%.
Like, that's going to get done in 2 months.
Yep, and that was exactly what it was. We thought we were going to finish it in that weekend, which we didn't, and so we're going to have another trip. So yeah, live and learn, move on. A little bit of pain, but yeah, it's not bad. Jason, I do have some gray. It starts more gray towards the wrist and then blacks out towards the top. So yep, there was like 3 different shades of black and a shade of gray. So
this girl in Florida, she did all these. I have these crows that go from like one shoulder to the other across the top of my back, and I wanted them to look like pen and ink. So I wanted it to look like parchment, paper.
Yeah.
And you use it's all black, but they call it watercolor black, where you got like the multi shades of black. And when I showed up there, she was all set up to do this pen and ink, and she does lots of watercolor tattoos, like colored ones. And she had 20 different pots of black on the table, from starting it all the way black to varying degrees of gray. She literally had 20 of them on the table.
Wow.
She's like going back and forth between them and like using it in different spots. I was like, wow, it actually came out looking like black ink, like soaked into paper.
That's so cool. That's so
really
cool.
neat.
So yes, no working out, just recovering. I'll probably have it covered for the meetup tonight. Just again, it's only eight or 9 days recovering. So it's probably going to take up to 3 weeks for this huge one to fully recover. My other spots were less, but this one's pretty serious.
Dude,
Nick,
yeah.
Switch of topic here. What kind of coffee grinder do you have?
Nothing fancy. I have a Breville burr grinder, and it works great. I have a standalone one, and then I have another one that I've dialed into work that's actually a part of my espresso machine. It's one of the built-in grinders, which are good and bad. The one thing I will say that kind of stinks about it's good with the built-in one, but it's kind of a pain in the butt, is different beans actually grind differently. So like if you have a burr grinder and you set it to a certain burr depth and you grind your beans and you weigh it, and then you use a different bean and you grind it again, you're going to have a different weight. And I did not expect that result, actually. That beans getting ground, they're going to grind and then come through the funnel with the timing, and the same duration of grinding should get you the same weight, right? Well, wrong. So I've had to adjust, but thankfully I only use one kind of bean in my built-in one, and so it always just stays the same. So just a Breville burr, and I just have the inside and outside burr depth set just right, where I get the right weight out of it. Okay.
And he said, have you ever looked at the Birataza Encore?
I have looked at the Baratza. Those things are sweet. There was another one that I was looking at too that had a built-in scale where you could actually set the weight in grams. And as I was looking at it, I was looking at 2. One was like $400, and I was like, okay, but if it does the weight for me and it's right every time, then I guess it's worth it. Well, I was wrong. It was actually the $400 one did not have the scale. The one with the built-in scale was $2,200. So I was like, yeah, nope, can't do that for a coffee grinder. So I guess that's not going to happen.
Wow. $2,200?
Dude. Yeah.
And you guys ask me why I don't drink coffee. Remember, I am obsessive and I really get into things, and I don't want to like that. I don't want that on my radar.
Dude, listen, it's one of those things. I don't do anything a little bit, and I too have to be careful what I'm into. Coffee was a total accident. I didn't mean to actually get into coffee, and I really didn't mean to actually care about how it was made to the point where I was doing it like that. No, that was completely by accident.
And then what about your favorite coffee bean company?
So like I'm kind of back and forth. You know, George Howell in Boston is awesome. Like they do really good stuff. And then there's another one called Pavement that I really like. I like Pavement in Boston. And oddly enough, though, like Jill says, it's kind of sucks to say. Like I do like Starbucks beans, and I like them for a lot of the reasons that other people don't. I like them because they're a little overly roasted. I also like them because they're a little extra oily. And there's the basic person in me for some reason just really likes it. Like when I make cold brew, I love their Guatemala. I make 5 gallons of cold brew at a time. I put it in a keg. It lives in my kegerator. It's on nitro. It's always cold in the garage on tap. I love it. And I use Starbucks Guatemala for that because I have just not found something that works better. But any Costa Rican blend works great. But as far as local stuff goes, love Pavement, love George Howell. Both.
All right, guys. I'm going to put it right down on record right now, and I'll write it down. We will have a future stream dedicated to coffee.
I think we need to, based on our audience here.
Yep. There's just too much interest in it. That's going to happen, you guys, 100%. You know,
I actually think we're going to wait to do that stream for a particular release that Jill's been working on. I think we have a release that's going to go really well with a conversation focused on coffee.
Perfect. To switch topics and save the rest of those conversations for that stream, who has more tattoos? Who's more tatted up, you or Jill?
Jill. She has both full arms, just about. One's all the way to the hands, one's not. She has both legs with different things. You know, she's got a lot. I don't know though. As far as like individual ones, maybe I have more, but I think she has more ink. So I might have more individual tattoos, but I think she has more ink in her skin in total than I do.
Perfect.
My only really huge one is my chupa corn on the cabra on my leg, which is half corn on the cob, half chupa cabra.
And 100% great name.
Well, let's see if we can get it on camera now.
And then, guys, we'll have one question. Oh, wow. That color is amazing.
So he transitions from full corn on the cob, little pat of butter right into chupacabra skin.
That's amazing. You are the only one on the planet.
Yeah, only one like it in the whole world. And then the other side is a love story of tacos and hot sauce dancing on a food truck.
Yum. Tacos. Yum. I love it. All right, so final topic before we get out of here, you guys. G Squared brought up a good point. He said, hey, with the phone and the problem with the batteries, he said that gives up the concept of a watertight phone when you have a replaceable battery. And he's like, I would rather have the watertight phone.
So interestingly enough, it's actually for IP6 ratings for dust and water. They're actually not based on the water tightness of the case. They're based on the water phobic coating of internal circuitry. So you can technically take a new Samsung or a new iPhone, you can take the screen off of it and throw it in water and pull it out, and it is still going to be okay. That said, they do have a certain amount of IP6 that does relate to case security. So I think what would end up happening with phones where you could replace the battery now is you'd almost have 2 shells, right? You'd have the sandwich shell that encases all the electronics from dust and water. And then you'd have like a little watertight ribbon cable that attached the battery into a little recessed compartment, then your back case. So I think the battery itself would be watertight, and then the removal of it would probably have a little sub compartment. Like there's a phone out there that does it. It's I forget who it is that makes it. Oh, the OnePlus. The OnePlus has that. They have a separate battery compartment just for that very reason.
Okay, that makes sense. Love it. All right. And my final statement, guys, before we get out of here, is a comment by G Squared. And just a reminder that Yule Tree and Peppermint Bark are available through the month of July. After that, they are going to be gone until around December. So if you want to try these, if you want to stock up, now is the time. And G Squared said, I just want to throw it out there that the growth stimulator can be used as a regular oil and is a great option. Sometimes his beard thinks that it's that gray-red tendency, and he really likes the thick oils. So if you're someone that's like, hey, I want a thick oil, this could be one that's really cool to work into rotation.
You know, it really could be. And just as like an ultra moisturizing thick oil too, we had people say like, man, even without the growth stem stuff, it'd be cool if I had this with number 7 in it, you know? And
yeah.
So people might be, you know, again, influencing future products with some of their feedback.
There it is. All right, Nick,
take them here.
Exactly. Take them away, good sir.
Oh, man. Well, for anybody who's going to the meetup tonight, sorry I'm not up there with you guys. Again, the Tuesday schedule just didn't allow for the round trip and cashing out of the whole day. But I'll be there in spirit. You know, we're in the same area here. So, but rest assured, you guys will get some good photos of Dan down here in our production space on the weekend, and out and about. Dan and I will get plenty of photos and be posting them to Instagram. And of course, anyone that's in the Plymouth area on Saturday, feel free to drop us a note on Instagram and come say hi. We're just going to be out with the family, kicking it around town. So let us know. But man, thanks everyone for hanging out and watching. Next week is going to be a good one. It's going to be based on viewer requested topics. We're going to talk about something totally not beard related, maybe in some cases beard related. But we're going to talk about budgeting. Like, what the hell do you do in the world? Like the things they don't teach you in school about how to manage yourself when you're a person who has interests and hobbies or other priorities and things. And we're just going to talk about that because people asked us to. So we're going to do it. And I think we're going to have 2 different perspectives too, which is really neat. I think Dan's a lot better at it than me. Spoiler alert.
Oh, no.
And so we will cover all that with you guys next week, Tuesday, 1:00, same place, same channel. Meanwhile, thanks for all the support. Love you guys. We'll see you next week.
All right, guys.